What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Northwoods Family channel. In this video, we're going to be going through the most common mechanical issues you're likely to face while you're out riding. Now, today's machines are built to take a beating, but that doesn't mean things can't break. We're going to start by talking about the most common and also the simplest problems you can fix when you're out on the trails. And then later in the video, we're going to be going into some more complex issues that are a little bit harder to fix. But the good news with those is that most of the time, they can be prevented with some maintenance and routine inspection. Let's get at it. The first and probably most obvious issue you can run into on the trail is a flat tire or puncture. This can happen just about anywhere. We've only had one flat tire on all of our rides, ironically while driving on a paved road. For prevention, first start with good tires. Most of the bias ply tires that come with today's machines are kind of junk. I highly recommend picking up a good set of 8-ply or even 10-ply radials that will not only reduce the chance of punctures, but also greatly improve your ride. We did a tire review which goes in-depth into tire construction, and you can find that link here. We run Tusk Terrabite Aramid tires. They are a 10-ply tire with a woven layer of aramid fibers, which is the same material used in soft body armor. Last week, I actually found a thorn deeply embedded in one of our tires, but it didn't puncture the tire, and all I had to do was pull it out. Keep your tires properly inflated. If you air down your tires, be careful not to go too low, especially when you're carrying a heavier load or driving at higher speeds. You can bottom out the tire, causing tire or rim damage. The bead can also slip, which can be a real pain to reseat on the trail. When driving, be aware of what you're rolling over on the trail. Sharp rocks and sticks can puncture the tread or even cut the sidewall. Be sure to carry a basic puncture kit and a small plug-in air compressor. It's usually easier to quickly plug a tire on the machine than changing tires on the trail. However, if you have a cut sidewall or a severe puncture, you will need a spare. Of course, be sure your lug nuts are properly torqued, and if you have beadlock rims, check those at least a couple of times each riding season. Belt problems are just part of the deal with CVT transmissions. CVT transmissions are easy to drive and work well for off-roading, where the throttle and speed is constantly changing, but in certain circumstances, the belts are prone to failure. Common signs of belt failure are burning rubber smell, loss of power, or check engine lights. On Polaris models like ours, a cylinder misfire code is a common sign of a damaged belt. Preventing belt failure comes down mostly on how you drive. When starting from a stop, don't spend a lot of time at low RPMs where the belt is slipping until it engages. You'll hear the machine revving, but it won't be moving much during this time. On our General, this is around 2,000 to 2,500 RPM. If you need to drive slowly, use the low gear to keep the RPMs higher than this. If you're trying to power through some muck and get stuck, don't keep on the throttle, especially if the wheels stop spinning. You can burn out your belt in seconds. If you get stuck, shift into a lower gear and you can try to get out again, but don't spend a lot of time wailing on the throttle if you're not moving. Get out your winch or get a tow. CVT belt failure can also occur when running at a constant speed for a long period of time. When traveling stretches of roadways, be sure to vary your speed and throttle position, especially when traveling at high speeds. High speeds generate a lot of heat in your transmission, which is bad for the belt as well as other transmission parts. Water is another problem for CVT transmissions. Now, UTVs are designed to be able to go through fairly deep water, but if you suspect water has entered your CVT, stop, take off the cover, or pull the drain plug and allow the water to drain. You can put the machine in neutral and rev the engine up and down for 10 to 15 seconds or so to air dry the belt and the components. Frequent inspection of your belt and CVT transmission is really important. I recommend checking it every oil change or even more frequently depending on how you ride. The cover on most machines is easy to access. This flexible Tusk bitdriver makes the cover removal a breeze, even in the field. It is a must-have. Look for cracks or flat spots, especially on the side of the belt where the belt contacts the clutch sheaves. Even a small flat spot can cause trouble, like the misfire codes we experienced on our trip across Wisconsin. When you have your CVT cover off, it's a good idea to blow out all of the dust with compressed air. Most machines come with a sheave tool to spread the sheaves and remove the belt. I have found a large flathead screwdriver helps too, as they can be a little stubborn at times. Always have a spare belt with your machine and the tools you need to replace it. This is a basic fix, a common problem, and something that is fairly easy to do in the field. When riding on muddy trails, your radiator can become clogged, leading to overheating. Our machine even overheated once when the radiator became clogged with grass seeds. Keep an eye on your engine temperature while riding. If you see it rising, stop, check the radiator, and if necessary, flush it out with water. You don't want to use a high pressure stream because you could damage the radiator fins. A garden hose works great, or in a pinch, a spray bottle, or even a couple of squeezes from a water bottle can get you by. When out riding in muddy conditions, we always carry a gallon of water just to wash off our radiator. If your machine has a heater, you can turn it on to help pull some of the heat away from the system as well until you can find a place to better clean off your radiator. Never, ever open the radiator when it is hot. The coolant is under pressure and can cause severe burns. And finally, check your coolant level before riding and replace per the manufacturer's recommended intervals. Water, mud, and most of all, vibrations love to mess with your wiring and your battery. We've experienced some kind of electrical issue on every single one of our long-distance overlanding trips. Most of the time, it's just been a loose fuse. If you lose a function of your machine, power steering, lights, radio, fan, basically anything, the first place I'd check is your fuse box. Carry a small fuse tester and spare fuses with you. Check your battery often and be sure the main terminals are clean and the connectors are tight. And it goes without saying, carry a portable jump pack. A small lithium jump pack is easy to pack and it can save you from hours of walking for help if your machine runs out of juice. The biggest issue with brakes is typically mud getting on the rotors and in the pads, so after every ride, give them a rinse. When you're going down a long, steep slope, try not to ride the brakes all the way down. Instead, shift into a low gear and let the engine help slow the vehicle. When you need to apply the brakes, do so for a bit and then let off to allow the brake components to cool. Be sure to inspect your brakes frequently or have them inspected by your dealer. Your winch is something you don't think about until you really need it, and when you do, you need it to work. Synthetic line is usually stronger and safer than wire cable, but it does require some upkeep. Don't overload it. Your winch has the most power when it is not spooled all the way out, and you can use snatch rings to provide a mechanical advantage when you're stuck bad. Don't let your rope rub hard against rocks or other hard objects. Use a winch line protector sleeve, or better yet, change the angle of the line with a soft shackle and snatch ring. Be sure to carry an extension line or tow strap when you need to reach farther anchor points. This will also save you if your winch line snaps and you're left with a much shorter line. Those are the most basic and common problems you're likely to face while out riding. Problems with suspension, drive components, and steering can be a lot trickier to fix on the trail and are a little more complicated to inspect if you don't have some mechanical knowledge. At a minimum, you should visually look for signs of impact or damage to your suspension components. When riding, be careful as you navigate over large rocks and obstacles. Sharper turns put more stress on suspension components. Turning the steering wheel to full lock gives no room in the system to absorb impacts from the trail. Replacing suspension components in the field requires spare parts and much more substantial technical knowledge. Take the time to assemble a basic trail fix kit. What you need in your kit will vary based on the type of riding you do, where you travel, and how difficult it is to summon help. We've done other videos on our trail recovery kit and toolkits before, and we'll revisit this topic again soon. So hopefully that will give you a little bit better idea of some things to think about before you head out. So hopefully you can avoid some problems once you're out there and you can just enjoy your ride. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, and we want to hear from you. What are your trail nightmares? What type of problems have you run into? Have you busted an axle? Have you gotten a flat tire? Have you run out of gas? And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Northwoods Family channel. We have a lot of content coming up for you this summer, including some more rides with our Polaris General, as well as some other outdoor adventures we think you'll enjoy. Thanks again. Be safe. I'll see you outside.